as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand new day.
Hello Marbella, it's Amanda from Silken Sin here again, courtesy of the lovely Nicole King and Marbella Now TV. And I would like to talk to you about a problem that was presented to me by a lady called Julie who contacted me. Now, Julie is a lady who lives here and she's in a relationship with someone very happily that she's been with for 4 years, but she has a problem, and the problem is this. Now, 5 years ago, she split up after a long-term relationship with someone, and I'm saying 15, 20 years, and it wasn't a very amicable split. It was actually quite acrimonious, and the gentleman in question left her for a much younger girl and went off. Now, this is the situation. They split up, Julie stayed here, her ex-husband partner went back to the UK with his new lady, and she got her life back together, and she ended up meeting someone, and she's in a wonderful relationship, has been for 4 years, they live together, everything's great. Except Julie has written to me and said she's suffering from feelings of anger about her past relationship, even though she's wonderfully happy with her new partner. It's been 5 years, everything's over. As she said to me, why aren't I better now? Now, things don't work that way. The situation is she's still feeling feelings of incredible anger towards her ex. And so much so that she said sometimes she even dreams or has nightmares about him where she's so angry they're in a situation and she wakes up and she's literally shouting. And on one occasion, she was punching her ex in her dreams and woke up and she'd been punching her current partner while they were asleep. And she said to me, I'm over him, I don't care about him. I don't think about him during the day. Why is this happening? And why do I feel these feelings of anger quite frequently when I don't love him anymore, I don't want to be with him anymore, I'm with a man I love now. Now, anger is a very complex emotion. It's also a very toxic one. And it's also incredibly linked to feelings of loss. When people are bereaved, there is a series of phases that usually they go through. And having trained in bereavement counselling, I've seen this so often, that after the grief and the feelings of loss, an anger comes. But in this situation, it's the other way around, in a way. So Julie is having these dreams, is feeling occasionally these feelings of anger. And I said to her, the thing is, this anger, you've obviously not resolved the issues of loss you feel about your past relationship. And that loss is showing itself as anger, subconsciously. Hence the dreams or nightmares and the sudden feelings of anger she gets when there is nothing to be angry about. As I've just said, anger is one of the most toxic emotions we can feel, apart from situations where it's right to be angry. For example, when we hear of terrible things happening in the world, suffering, wars, injustice, that's okay. That's a healthy anger. That's a good moral anger that it's acceptable to feel, and rightly so, and we can do positive things with that. But the sort of anger that Julie's experiencing is not positive at all, and in fact is negative, and does have a very toxic effect. Anger can actually physically affect you, and actually, I believe, in my opinion, cause physical disorder as well. So I think Julie is suffering still. She hasn't dealt with the issues of the loss of her relationship. She didn't want to end the relationship with her ex when it first happened. She had no idea anything was wrong. And then suddenly, out of the blue, he's turned around and said to her, "I found someone else, I don't want to be with you anymore." And of course she was angry then. And as she said to me, that should all be left behind by now. Why am I still angry? I'm in love with somebody else. But the thing is, she, at the time of the breakup with her ex, she obviously didn't deal thoroughly, as most of us don't, because we're in the middle of it. And when you're in the middle of an emotional situation, it's very difficult to step back and look at things coolly. So I think she never dealt with the anger and the loss. As I said, I think the anger is a result of a feeling of loss she still has from this relationship that's gone. So she feels that it's very difficult to talk about with her current partner. He then gets angry and thinks, why are you still thinking about him? Do you still want him? So she doesn't talk about that to him, and perhaps that's a good thing. I think she needs to talk to someone, whether it's a friend, a family member, work through it on her own, or possibly see a therapist or a counsellor, putting my hand up here, but just in general, to deal with those feelings, because they're not just going to go away. 5 years later, she's still got them. They're not going to disappear. And it's intrinsically linked to the feelings of loss she has for that relationship and the days when it was good. Her past relationship was good. So, as I said, anger is a very, very toxic emotion, and this isn't something that can be ignored. It needs to be worked through. And we can feel angry at lots of things, but in this particular situation, and I can feel it because I have had a similar experience. So, if you feel like that, look at it, work through it. It needs to be looked at. You can't just ignore those feelings because they're linked to something deeper and they don't just go away. Anyway, that's a very interesting, I think, subject, and loss and anger are things that we will be talking about in future programs, and how to deal with them in a positive and forward-moving way. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, Marbella, and I will see you soon with another problem. It's goodbye from me, Amanda from Silken Sin, and thank you to Nicole and Marbella now, and you, the viewers, for watching and listening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Hey, hey.
Free taxi 4 times a month and 25% discount on your car insurance if you're the Zero Hero. I was delighted that I have my car insured with Línea Directa, because when I was going to the station in Malaga just a few months ago, the car broke down in 5 lanes of terrible traffic. It was terrifying. The good thing was, although I couldn't explain exactly where I was, the GPS locator came to find us, and then while the car was being repaired, we had a courtesy car. Línea Directa really is watching out for our best interests, so check them out, 952 14 78 34 or lineadirecta.com.
Hey, hey.
I'm going to play for you now an interview that's from last year. It was with Graeme about a medication that is very freely prescribed in Spain. It is called Nolotil. Nolotil is given for pain. However, it is really not indicated for certain people, particularly if you come from like the Gaelic, fair-skinned, pale, fair-haired races. Now, this sounds silly, but it's not. And in fact, although we've been telling you about this, and I know that Graeme's been campaigning on this because unfortunately he lost his wife to this, so obviously his interest is paramount, and the Olive Press have been covering this. But Fiona Catchpole, our lovely cybergram, was in a hospital a couple of weeks ago, and she said it was only because she'd seen the program and realized that somebody who was there prescribed with Nolotil was perhaps not feeling well because of this medication. So I am going to replay the interview with Graeme, because I think we really do need to know this and pass this information on, because you really can be saving somebody's life.
Hey, hey.
A couple of weeks ago, I did a small piece on a Spanish medication called Nolotil. And the reason I did this is because I wanted to give people a heads up, a warning, that some people can react adversely to this medication, but it is one of the most frequently prescribed medications in Spain. I must have at least 10 packs or vials at any given time at home, and a lot of people the same. However, Graeme here is going to explain to us that this medication is actually not suited for Brits, especially if you're pale-skinned and blonde. And unfortunately, Graeme learned this because when they came over to live in Spain about 11 years ago, his wife was prescribed this, and unfortunately, she passed away. First of all, Graeme, it's a very difficult thing to talk about. I'm really sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I know that you're still very sorry for your loss. It's something, obviously, that you never get over.
That's correct, yes.
Must be hard to talk about it, but at the same time you don't want other people to lose a loved one for such a simple thing as knowing that there are different medications
Yes.
and indications.
Yeah. Nolotil is a simple painkiller. It's nothing more, it's nothing special. If you're a Celt or an Anglo-Saxon or a Scandinavian or a Caucasian, there's a risk between 1 in 1,000 and 1 in 10,000 that this will kill you. Or if it doesn't kill you, give you very severe adverse effects. So that means if the risk is 1 in 1,000 and 1,000 prescriptions are given to Northern Europeans in any one day, then one person is going to be made seriously ill, and that's the statistic. If it's as wide as 1 in 10,000, that means every 10 days somebody's going to be killed or made severely ill. This drug attacks the bone marrow and deletes the white blood cells. That means your whole immune system is destroyed if you're susceptible to this. And the thing that I'm passionate about, and the thing that annoys me most of all, is the drug company who make this do not know how it works. They just have tried it out. They don't really care. They are banned in most countries. It's banned in nearly all of Northern Europe. It's banned in the United States, in Australia, in Canada, because it is such a dangerous drug.
And here, really, it is one of the most commonly prescribed prescriptions. Every time you go for anything, that would be one of the first things that they would prescribe on one of these vials of Nolotil, because it's like strong and powerful. And
yes. Well, that's exactly what happened to my wife. She had an operation. They gave her 2 of those, and within 3 days her immune system had been destroyed totally. And there are many other cases. As you know, I've been working with the Olive Press, and they had, after we put our article in, more and more people have came and said, I've had the worst illness of my life, my partner has died, someone else has died, because they've taken Nolotil. And again, there is nothing special about Nolotil. It's not such an important drug that it's worth taking the risk.
Exactly, there are so many other options to take for a painkiller.
Yes, aspirin, paracetamol, ibuprofen, whatever works for you. Not Nolotil.
How come that this is still available in Spain? Is it because you were mentioning that it's fair-skinned and blondes, and it's the paler skin? So is it because of the more like olive skin that they have here in Spain that they're not affected,
yes,
or is it? What's the reason?
It's obviously to do with genetics. It's about the genes that we inherit from our particular race groups, and for some reason it hasn't affected Mediterranean people. And when my wife was killed, the chief surgeon of the Costa del Sol said he would work to get it banned and it would never be prescribed in his hospital again. Now it's been prescribed in his hospital again, so one assumes that the drug company has spent money and has persuaded officials to allow it to be prescribed, even though it's banned in so many other countries.
Well, I think it's definitely commendable that the Olive Press has embraced this and supporting. Obviously, you have our full support, and it would look like, obviously, the mission is, above all, is to tell people, if the administrations or the pharmaceutical companies, as we know, are that abusively powerful, that they can sway even it's in all things, money talks and the rest walks.
Yeah.
But if we know this, then hopefully we can stop other people going through this same problem.
Yes, it's made by the chemical company Hoche, one of the biggest in the world, and it's obviously dramatically profitable for them, and all they're interested in is making profit. They don't care about the risk.
Well, we have to carry on this campaign. Please share this, tell your friends. Nolotil is something you should take only if you really need to, and if you've got that good Spanish or Latin genes. But I would say that for the rest of us, we really should just keep well away. Not worth the risk, because it is just a painkiller. There is nothing, as you say, special about it.
Exactly.
Well, Graeme, I know it's such a tough subject to talk about. It's hard for me to even talk about. It's nice when you're presenting Samantha Anderson and singers, but this is so worthwhile and so commendable. What was your wife's name?
Mary.
Mary. Well, Mary, really sorry to have lost you, but hopefully that Mary can be not the last, it would seem, but one of the last for such a senseless loss of precious life. 40 years of marriage.
Yes.
How wonderful. Great memories. We'll stay with those. No Nolotil.
No Nolotil. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Hey, hey.
It's amazing how many people really do think that being signed on to the town census, being on the padron, could have repercussions for their tax declarations. Now, this really is not the case. As it stands at the moment, being signed up on the town register only means that the central government gets a rough idea how many people are living in a city, and therefore they will give financing to the local councils to cover policing, medical attention, clearing up the rubbish, other basic needs that we have as a city. Now, officially on the town census, there are some 140,000 people, but you and I know that just in foreigners we can equally double that, but most of us are not on the town register. As I say, a lot of people fearing that this could mean that they will then get taxed. This is not the case. The padron, the empadronamiento, is really just a internal figure, as I say, to get money from central government to cover the needs we have as a city. Now, if you think apart from the unofficial people who live in Marbella, all those tourists that are coming to join us in the summer, this means that we don't have the money to police, we don't have the money to pick up their rubbish. So as people who live in a city and who love our city, this is a moment when we really need to get involved. And if you see rubbish, pick it up. You know, make sure that you're picking up your dog poops, everything we can to help keep our city lovely. And if you can sign on the town register, please do. If you're in Marbella for any length of time, you need to be on the census. Our lucky men are on the town census, and most of them are illegal immigrants from Senegal. So this, I think, is an easy way to show you that they wouldn't be on the town census if they were scared of getting deported. They do this because it knows it gives them medical coverage and other benefits for living in the city. Please do go to the town hall, get more information if you're nervous, but signing up on the town register is a legal requirement, and it's definitely a moral obligation.
Hey, hey.
Tomorrow's Thursday. That means you can pick up your free edition of the Euro Weekly News, and if you do, check out my column Marbella Moments. Thank you for joining us for Marbella Now this evening. It's a pleasure to have you with us. We'd like to keep you informed of everything that's going on in our city, particularly behind the scenes, the different laws, legalities and information that you might otherwise miss. Take care of yourselves, be nice to each other, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
It's a brand new day.